Let's get into it. Soul Not For Sale podcast. We got Joe Rogan reminiscing about how he got into conspiracy theories while he's talking to Shane Gillis. It's a very interesting little story, but then as he's telling that story, he starts jabbing at people who believe in flat earth because he likes to do that. I don't know if you know about Joe, but over the years, he's made his position very clear. He is a round earth person. He is a globalist. Not the Klaus kind, but the kind that believes in the globe, you know? And he's going to be talking about that. And then I got another clip, a classic, of him and Eddie Bravo arguing about this very topic. But here's the thing. Eddie Bravo brings up a great point, and it has nothing to do with the shape of the earth. It has everything to do with what people do to dismiss what one person says when they're in an argument and prop up their own points in an argument, when the points that they're dismissing and propping up are coming from the same place. So let's get into that really quick. Discount code is I am Coach Colin, all capital letters, all one word, one L in the name. Colin gets you 10% off. Let's get into this clip.
Pennsylvania, I think.
Wow.
But it's Harrisburg.
Bro, Pennsylvania, in my head, doing stand-up in Pennsylvania, is
Mechanicsburg on the map, dude. It makes me happy.
my memory of how I got into conspiracy theories.
Was what?
Was in Pennsylvania when I was on the road.
What happened?
This dude's a friend of mine, was buddies with this dude who's in a band. And we were all out. And we're talking. He starts telling me about the JFK assassination. I'm like, so what really happened? He goes, dude, there's this book. I'm going to give you the book. I just finished it.
Crossfire?
No, Best Evidence, David Lifton. So I was reading this book in my fucking hotel room before the show. I was like, oh no.
That's crazy.
They fucking killed the
Yeah, if
president.
you look into that, in the smallest amount, if you look into that, you go, oh,
100% they killed him.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no way. The people that say Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone, first of all, it doesn't even make sense from an evidence perspective when you look at the bullet. It doesn't make sense in any way.
Yeah,
the whole
and then
reason why they need to
yeah.
attribute all these different shots to one bullet, the back and to the left,
Yeah.
there's so much wrong with it.
The whole thing.
Everything's wrong with it. But that is a crazy story. The fact that it was released on television because of a comic.
Oh, Dick Gregory.
Dick Gregory,
Yeah.
stand-up comic.
You got this Zapruder film?
Got all the Zapruder film.
I don't know.
Yeah,
That's it.
and played on the fucking Geraldo Rivera show. And played it 12 years after the assassination. That's what's nuts, man. It was on TV in 75. Imagine some shit that went down in 2011. Yeah.
2001. Some shit went
2001.
down.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
Oh, that some shit did go down.
Can you imagine if we got some footage out of that?
Be like one of you guys having it. Be like, yo,
Yeah, if one of us got the Tower 7
my
collapse.
God.
I got something to show you.
Oh my God, we just got a guy in there going like this.
Yeah, literally. Got the bandit fucking.
Old school dynamite. Yeah. Right?
If you do any, that's the one. That's everybody talks shit on conspiracy theories, and I get it.
They shouldn't.
Yeah, but I saw the
silly.
clip of like you and Eddie Bravo talking about flat Earth. Mm-hmm. Like that's your argument there was like this is the type of conspiracy that fucks up the other conspiracies, and I believe that.
I'll take it a step further.
Yeah.
I think the reason why those things are so prevalent is not because they're enticing. I think people put them out there purposely to make other conspiracy theories seem stupid. And if they can give you enough fake evidence and enough like really eloquent people describing these things and why they're trying to hide this from you, and then they always attach it to religion. You know, flat Earth is always attached to religion.
Really?
Yeah. It's not atheist people that believe in flat Earth for the most part. I'm sure there's a few out there that do.
Yeah.
But for the most part, they believe that there's a firmament above Earth as described in the Bible.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, they don't believe in space.
Isn't outer space water then?
It's all just bullshit.
I mean, I guess that explains rain. Guys are like, what the fuck is that? They're like, well, up there is water.
Yeah, I don't know how they explain the lights. What do they think galaxies are? And what do telescopes see? Are telescopes bullshit too?
Yeah, water. I knew it was water.
Yeah, so there's a great deep below. There's the pillars of the Earth, and there's a firmament. And then the Earth is flat, and then this bald stuff is all just bullshit.
Chambers in heaven?
Upper seas. They think it's like a disc. I think that's how they describe it, as a disc.
Well, this is what I have here was the Bible firmament from Wikipedia. So then there's like the bringing in the flat.
Yeah,
part.
so Earth is flat. So this is what they think it is. That's what they think it is.
Well, the Bible firmament makes sense again if you're like, what the fuck is rain? Because that would rock me.
I mean, we have a real problem in that a lot of these religious texts, they're describing things that we now have science for.
Yeah.
There's a real problem with that.
Yeah.
Like everything, including procreation. Like we actually know what's happening now. We can fucking watch the sperm get into the egg. We know
that would have been nuts.
We have photos of other planets. Like we have like really good photos of the moon. We have super good photos of Mars. We got a thing on Mars. Dude. It's a robot. We got satellites that are flying around Mars.
Imagine not knowing what sex did.
Right.
You're like, I really want to do it. And then all of a sudden a kid comes out. Occasionally a kid comes out.
Right.
You'd be like, this is...
And how'd that happen?
Well,
if you go way, way, way back, they probably had...
dumb.
They probably had no idea that it was their
dogs
kid.
do it. You're like, oh, that's how it's done.
Well, people always did it, just like the gorillas at the zoo always did.
Of course, but I'm saying, like, you wouldn't be able to explain anything. Rain would be...
Oh, yeah.
You'd be like, there must be water up there.
Well, how about lightning? How about people dying from lightning? Like,
fucking hit by lightning? You'd be like, oh, my
Magic
God.
is real. Imagine you're living 50,000 years ago and your friend gets killed by lightning in front of you. Like, magic is real. I was watching this dude get fucked up in a parking lot the other day. This guy was not in real life, on video. Oh. It was another Instagram thing that I keep getting sent. I think Segura might have sent me this one too. Some dude is walking in this parking lot and he just gets fucking nailed
by
lightning. Just the finger of the god. Just
Thor himself.
I mean, what is? It's just as scary as like a demon taking you.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just as scary.
If
like
you don't survive, I'll take it. That's a good out.
Right.
Struck by lightning?
Yeah.
That's a good out.
It's a good way to go. If you don't survive.
If you survive, that blows. There's a guy who survived like 7.
Yeah. It's like the most electrocuted guy of all time. My friend Remy got nailed.
You know a guy that got struck by lightning?
Yeah, when he was a kid. He told the story on the podcast, I'm pretty sure. I'm trying to remember how old he was when it went down. But he was a kid. I know that for sure. And I think he went deaf for a little while, at least in one ear. He was really fucked up. He said he didn't understand what happened when he woke up. You know, he woke up, there was no one around. He just got nailed by lightning. People do live. Like, quite a few people live, but quite a few people don't. Just imagine if you had no idea what electrical storms
I think if it strikes something near you, you live. If it's like a direct strike.
No, you can get hit and live. People have gotten hit and lived. Yeah, believe it or not. But there's different kinds of lightning strikes, right? There's lightning strikes that split trees in half.
Yeah.
If you get hit with one of those bitches, you're fucked.
You're exploding.
You know, you see them branches in the sky, like some of them are fucking thick. You get hit with one of them thick streams.
Just explode on a golf course?
Do you know that that's what they used to think that rain was? It was God jizzing on the earth?
Man, again, this is episode 2074. It's one of those ones. If you like to just hear Joe just ramble about different things, topic to topic, a little bit about gorillas here and this and that, it's one of those episodes. But here's the thing, right? I got the next clip coming for you. Eddie Bravo, Joe Rogan having a quick argument. But here's the thing I want to say real quick. You know, at the beginning of this clip, he said, you know, you sound like, you have to think, as he's explaining the conspiracy he believes in, he sounds silly. So what just came to mind as I was listening to it is you got to have compassion for what other people believe in. You just do. The same way you got to have compassion if someone else believes in a different religion, you know? Like, you just kind of you have to have compassion. You have to be like, okay, you believe that. Like, I don't, like, you can't get to the point where you're pointing a finger at them and letting them know why they're so wrong, and you're doing it in this really negative way, like you're about to see Joe do. Because it's like, what does that solve? What does that do for anybody? You know what I mean? I don't know. That's just my thought process. And also to the Zapruder film, like, it would have been one of them. Imagine Joe Rogan had a film and he was like, here's this film, no one's seen it, and he brought it on to like CNN and they watched it and they like checked out and it made wow. Because there's no more Geraldos. He would be the Geraldo of today, you know, Johnny Carson, Geraldo type person. And it is always attached to religion, the flat earth theory. And we're going to get into that in a second. But let's just play this clip. Eddie Bravo, Joe Rogan getting into it.
You put a piece of stick in the ground.
You're saying all the correct shit.
It acts as a sundial.
You're saying all the shit
Eddie, there's a fundamental problem with the way you approach these things.
No, there's not a problem.
The problem is you
I don't trust shit.
them.
You do,
but it's not that I trust shit. No, but Eddie, you know I don't trust shit.
I'm having fun with it.
I don't.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's flat or round. It doesn't matter. I'm having fun with it.
Fallback. You keep saying that it's a bad fallback because what we're saying is there are conspiracies. The problem is when you think everything is conspiracy, you act as a psyop guy and you fuck people over that want to look at real conspiracies because the real conspiracies like the Gulf of Tonkin.
That's what I thought too.
Okay. Like the Gulf of Tonkin, real like Operation Northwoods, real things that really happened. When you look at those things and people explore them, they go, "Oh, I don't think they really killed Kennedy." Are you sure? Why don't you look at this? Look at this stuff. There's a lot of really crazy evidence. When you start thinking that the world is flat, the dinosaurs aren't real, all this nutty shit that you believe, and you just jump into it with, the problem is it discredits all these other things that you believe that might be real. Because the other things have some validity to them.
You just haven't looked into it, that's all.
Eddie.
I used to say the same
Eddie,
stuff.
you're talking about the Earth being flat. Thousands of scientists have looked into it. You think they're all wrong? That's so insane.
You haven't looked into it.
I have.
No, you have.
Oh, my God. How could I not have? You don't think I have? I'm watching you go down the rabbit hole. You don't think I try to pay attention to what the fuck these people are talking about? It doesn't work.
I don't think so.
Eddie, there's websites dedicated to debunking it. There's dedicated to showing you the science,
on the
showing
internet.
you the math that you can do.
How come when you check the internet, it's valid, but when I'm on the internet, it's not?
You're not talking about the internet. You're talking about a guy's YouTube video.
No, it's not guys. There's a lot of guys. There's a lot of people.
Okay. But they're just YouTube videos.
It's huge.
Eddie.
No.
The science behind them is not verified by peer-reviewed journals. The science of the Earth,
the government science that's bought and paid for, of course. You start talking about
Eddie,
flat Earth and the science. You just haven't looked into it.
Flat?
I didn't say that. I said, I don't know if it's flat or round. When I see a picture of Earth from space, what we're sitting on from space, when I see a real picture, then we'll have the proof. I'm just saying we don't even have proof that it's round.
No, we're looking at pictures while...
Here's the thing. That was the point that Eddie brought up. Why is it that when I'm looking at the internet, or when you're looking at the internet, it's valid, but when I'm looking at it, it's not? And that's so true. Because you know Joe, especially at this point in the podcast, you know Joe hasn't done that actual research. He hasn't even had a scientist on to explain why the Earth is round. Like, he hasn't done any of that. He hasn't had... Right now, without your phone, name the 3 scientists who are responsible for figuring out the Earth is round. Like on a very scientific, today's science level. None of that way back in the day stuff. Like today. Do it without your phone. You can't do it. I know you can't. I know there's a couple of you're like naming them right now, like no problem. I know, nerd. I'm kidding. but for most people, they can't, right? And then when it comes to people who believe that it's flat, it's like, well, name the people who are showing that. And some people have names, you know, but you're just kind of believing what they're showing you. You're taking in what they're showing you and you're saying, okay, that makes sense. I believe that. And that's what people on the other side are doing as well. So here's where I am with it, okay? Or actually, let me just go back to that point of, you know, sometimes people will just pull stuff up on the internet and it's like, well, this is the truth. And the thing you found on the internet is absolute nonsense. It's like, says who? And I'm not on either side. I'm really not on either side. I'm really not. I could actually care less. I could actually care less. The border's open. It's like one of those screen doors that just goes, the wind blows and it just opens up. That's what the southern border is just, it's just open. So that's way more important. It just is. Trump got taken off the ballot. What? Okay. Way more important. But I'm just saying, like, for you to look at one person's research, quote unquote, and say that's not research, when you're doing the exact same thing, you're just pulling the stuff on the internet and reading stuff. You're not verifying. You're not going into who did the study and then who owns that company and then going how many studies have they done and then going into those scientists and seeing how those scientists, how long has their career been. You're not doing all that. Who does that? Think about it. That's the equivalent of reading the terms and conditions when you sign up for a thing. Who does it? There's people that do it. Don't get me wrong. Especially with ChatGPT now. You can put it into ChatGPT and have it broken down to you like you're a 7-year-old and read that thing and bang. You can say, hey, break this down into a summary that's 3 paragraphs. And that's it. You can do that. But how many people do it? How many people actually do it? So for one person to be like, my research is good and your research is bad, it's like, I don't know. Kind of up in the air there. So Eddie Bravo's really right about that. Why is what he looks up on the internet not valid and what Joe looks up on the internet is valid? It's very, very interesting. And I love when they get into these battles. It was one of the greatest moments. Now, I will say, here's another thing, right? There are people who look into this whole phenomenon. There are people who like are doing research and they have the science and this and that. You can watch some extensive videos on it. And, you know, maybe you'll be like Eddie and get converted, or maybe you'll be like Joe and be like, this is absolute nonsense. Here's the thing, though, with Joe. Those guys that are looking it up, because he brought up peer-reviewed studies. Graham Hancock didn't have any peer-reviewed studies. Graham Hancock has an idea of what happened in ancient Egypt that's completely different than what everybody else believes. And the people who have their theory that's standing up and is the known theory throughout the world, well, those people are actual archaeologists. Those people actually went to school. Graham Hancock is not an archaeologist. So it's funny that you'll believe in what Graham Hancock's saying and have hours of interview with Graham Hancock, but for some reason, you're finding what Eddie has found on the internet hard to believe. Again, I'm not on either side. I could care less about this. Border's just open. But it's just a really, just an observation I made as I was listening. I'm like, how come you'll believe what Graham Hancock has to say about ancient Egypt, but you won't believe what X person that Eddie believes in has to say about the world? I don't know. I don't get it. But I'll be honest. And I'm just going to go here really quick. Watching this clip, Joe's face, Eddie's face, here's what I don't like the most. Here's what I don't like the most about this whole thing is the confidence in both of them. Both of them with the confidence they have. I don't like when people are this confident in what they have to say. I just don't like it. It's just a thing that I have. When Eddie just makes that face at him as Joe's explaining something, he just goes, I don't like when people have that level of confidence towards a video that they watched. And like now they're like, this is the information and this is my belief system. I don't like that confidence. At least have a little bit of shaky confidence. And then Joe has the opposite confidence where he's like, there it was. Hold on a second. There it was. That was too confident, that face, man. I'm even going to slow this down a little bit so I can catch it. It's just when you have that level of confidence where you're just, you see that? That's just pure confidence. That's pure confidence. Like you just haven't read the books. Oh, I wish you could read like I could. I don't like that confidence. And I don't like Joe's confidence either, where he's just like, I don't like that confidence. Like both of you guys need to relax a little bit. And, correct myself. Eddie's very relaxed, but it's like both of you need to have some compassion. Like, hey, you heard a bunch of stuff. And you know what? As I'm saying this, Eddie actually was being like that. Eddie's like, listen, that's what I used to think too. And he's being very calm. Joe needs to have a little bit more compassion and a little more calmness because he doesn't really know what he believes is fact. Like really when it comes to this stuff, you could be like, well, there's so many scientists. I in the past 4 years, I've had a lot of people tell me about what scientists and this and that, blah, blah, blah. And it turned out a certain way. Just saying that. But that confidence, you see that? Too confident. Look, he's just like, you're just wrong. Joe's like, oh my God. They're both so confident. Oh my God. Wow. Look at Eddie. Just so confident. Man, never mind. I take it back. I love it. I love it when people have this type of confidence. Jesus. But I will say one thing when Joe was talking about how it's always connected to religion, and I'm talking about anything people get really religious about. The reason that people usually turn to becoming religious about something, and this is anything, is because at that point, when they become religious about it, they're allowed to just, they're allowed to have faith over logic. Because that's something that's called upon in religion, whether it's Judaism, whether it's Islam, whether it's Christianity. You have to have faith over logic. You have to understand that you may feel and see things to be a certain way, but you have to have faith that what you are praying for or what you are working towards is actually going to come to fruition, you know? And I'm a Christian, you know, I have this. I have a lot of faith over logic. And I have this thing that I do, which actually is given to me by a great friend. I have anchor points. I have anchor points in my life where I really thought things were not going to work out, and they did. And that kind of helps me in my resolve when it comes to that. And I notice that outside of religion, when people get like that, that's how you see such anger like you see in Joe and such calmness like you see in Eddie, because they've gotten religious about what they believe. So just be wary of that. I think it's good to have that if you are a religious person. And even if you're not, I think there's a certain aspects of your life where you should have faith over logic. You should say, and not to a detriment, nothing crazy, nothing like I can fly, like nothing like that. But, you know, I am really doubtful that I could lose 10 pounds, but I'm going to have faith that the work, because even religion, a lot of people don't actually talk about this a lot, but even religion requires work. You're supposed to work towards what you want. You're not supposed to just sit there. It's not how it works. It's not law of attraction. It's not, you have to work. So you have to have faith that the work that you are going to put in is going to bring forth what you've been looking for this whole time, you know? Interesting. And see, that, what I just said, comes so in handy when it comes to improving yourself or, you know, relationships with your family, you know? Like, oh, my brother's been a certain way for so long, but I have faith that if I keep calling and I keep messaging, that we're going to have a beautiful relationship. Like, that's a good way to think of it. But when it comes to something like what Joe and Eddie are arguing about, that same thought process becomes toxic. And then it has you yelling at one of your best friends. And it has you looking at one of your best friends like they're dumb. So be very wary of that. But that was just a fun one I wanted to put together for you guys. Like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And don't worry about the earth, man. Border's just like, There's other things to worry about. Other than that, I'm out.